Hi Aries, how are you? This is Lee at Fresh Astrology. So, I want to look at your 2019 a little bit now that we're closer to it and see what's going on for Aries. Again, my name is Lee and my channel is Fresh Astrology. If you want to email me or talk to me, you can email freshastrology@gmx.com or go to my Facebook page, which is also Fresh Astrology. That's a great way to connect and ask questions. Also, if you want a reading, you can find my website at www.freshastrology.com. I'll have links below for various things. I have a course coming up in January for people who want to learn kind of my style of astrology, but we're focusing not on learning astrology per se in this course. We're focusing on how to give a reading. How do you give a reading to somebody? How do you use a coaching style, which is what I use? What coaching tools can you apply to your own life? It's very useful just to apply them to your own life, but also how do you apply them and help your clients? There are many astrologers, and there's nothing wrong with this, but who are really great technicians at astrology, and they are excellent at reading a chart and the aspects. They don't necessarily think of what the client is needing as an individual. What the coaching style takes into account is what is the client's main challenge. How can you, as a reader, assist your client to face whatever is in front of them, or hang in there, or where can they apply themselves? How can you help them best in a way that's productive and positive? How can you take yourself out of the equation, take the chart out of the equation to some degree, and let the individual come forward? That's what we're going to focus on. I have a couple of spots left, and you'll definitely do a lot of practice with me. We'll be meeting once a week starting in January for 5 weeks, and you'll be working with your fellow classmates to practice. And for those who want to, it's not a requirement, but for those who want to, you can practice by putting up a video or doing a reading either on my Facebook page or here on YouTube. So I'll let you guys, that the people who really seem to get it, and if you choose to, you can practice on my channel and on Facebook on my page, and get feedback if you want to ask my audience for feedback, or just put it out there and see what happens. You might get some clients and you'll get some recognition. So you can find that, again, link below. If you're a woman over 40 looking to start a business, or you have a business and kind of want to go to the next level, especially if you kind of want a purpose-driven business, go to the tribe link below and join tribe and be a part of that community. So Aries, let's look at your year, what's driving. So we're not looking at the day-to-day stuff. We're looking at what's driving this year. How can you think about 2019? You know how the Chinese, I think this is very handy the way the Chinese do it. They pick an animal symbol for each year, and it's a great way to look at the year as a whole, so that you have, like, if you know 2019 is the year of the pig, you can know that throughout the year without forgetting that. I kind of wish we could assign an animal-like thing, you know, with Western astrology, because it really helps, I think, remember that this is the year that fill in the blank for whatever sign you are. So we're going to kind of look at it that way, because, I mean, I personally can, if somebody starts telling me what I need to do on each day of the year, my eyes are going to cross and my brain is going to fog out, and I won't remember, you know, that on this day I need to do that, and on that day I need to do that. But if you want kind of an overarching, kind of get a handle on the year as you go into it, and something you can easily remember, that's the way we're going to approach it now. Okay, so some big handles to think about, some big items this year. It's really the year of Uranus. So if we had to pick an overarching symbol for the year, it's Uranus. So what does Uranus mean? Well, it's a change bringer. It's the planet that brings fast change, the unexpected kind of change. It's very inventive, has a lot to do with technology in our modern age. So it's very technological, has a lot to do with anything electrical. It has to do with weather and tectonic plate movement. So it governs things that can erupt quickly, happen quickly, change on a dime, or that travel really, really fast, like rockets and airplanes. So it's a quick thinking planet, it's a quick happening kind of energy, and it's definitely a year when many fast, unexpected changes will take place. Some of them will be more expected, but will happen quickly and seemingly overnight, even though you'll know they didn't really happen overnight, but it will seem like they did, because sometimes we have changes that we've been waiting and waiting and waiting, but we've been working toward. Like, I don't know, what's a good example? Okay, so the person who's been trying to make a sale or get a business off the ground, anybody who has their own business, like raise your hand. I've got a couple of businesses. You work and you work and you work behind the scenes, and you do so much to set things up that nobody ever sees, and you work and you work and you work. And then one day, unexpectedly, but you could kind of have predicted it too based on all your work, but seemingly unexpectedly, seemingly overnight, a whole bunch of things can change, and suddenly you have a lot of business and everybody knows you. That can happen. But really what's happened is behind the scenes you've been working like a dog. Maybe in 2019 you're working like a pig. Although pigs actually take it easy. They're very bright. I think they work smarter, not harder. So this may be the year to work smarter and not harder for all. For you personally, you've been hosting this mega energy planet in your sign for over 7 years. So that has meant that you personally have gone through tremendous changes. Not just one change, but across the board. So many things have changed in your life. The way you present to the world, the way you appear to the world is totally different. You'll still, of course, look like you. It's still you in there, but you've had a lot of personal change pretty much across your whole life. You may look physically different, you may have a different title, be in a different business, be moving out into the world somehow very differently. And you will know that about your own life, what I'm talking about. So that planet energy and all the energy it brings into a person's life is moving into, and has been kind of playing, flirting with your area of business, how you bring in money. So I do expect a lot of you are considering changing what you do for a living, or have, and maybe you've already started the change, because really it was flirting through kind of the second half of this past year, 2018, with this house. I think you've been kind of flirting with sticking a toe in, maybe a little more than a toe, into changing what you do. Maybe working for a different company, maybe starting your own business. Uranus definitely can speak to the entrepreneurial energy, that entrepreneurs are very inventive. The word startup comes to mind when you think of an entrepreneur or a launch, and those words pair very well, kind of what those words evoke. Launching a rocket. You can also launch a business, and Uranus has a lot to do with space travel, air travel, and so the words launch and starting up, something that starts. You could apply Mars, but Mars is like a smaller version of Uranus, and Uranus is like a big start, a big breakthrough. So some of you, if you're a scientist or you've been trying to invent or create something, there's a big breakthrough, maybe a big aha moment, maybe just a big lucky moment. but there are going to be some big changes also throughout this year. Now, the reason I believe that ultimately by the end of the year, any abrupt changes in your world of work will be lucky is because you also have the other big, I think, handle on this year is where Jupiter is, because it moves in annual cycles, and it almost, not quite, kind of matches the actual calendar year in its movement. Not exactly, but kind of. And so Jupiter, and the other reason that I mentioned that, I would pick on Jupiter a little bit more during this era, because it's going to be playing into what's going on in Capricorn, which is an area of the sky and your chart that is hosting two heavy-hitting planets, which are Saturn and Pluto. And so Jupiter is going to be mixing it up with those heavy hitter planets, and so Jupiter becomes more prominent, therefore. And so what's happening is Jupiter's in your 9th house currently. It's where, and this is why I think you've been ramping up and flirting with maybe learning about, like, if I wanted to do this, let me learn something about it so I know, how to move forward if I do decide to do that. Or I am moving forward, but I need to learn a lot first, or on the go as I go, I need to be learning. And I think you spent a lot of time learning about what you're going to do, maybe marketing and getting your name out there. It's great for publicity, publishing. Hopefully, now some of you, if you're a lawyer or in anything to do with the law, this may be where you see it. It has a lot to do with graduating law school or going back to law school or changing your career in that particular way. So some of you may be switching somehow within the legal field for some of you. Others, it's going to be more sales driven, publicity, marketing, publishing, and learning. All of you, no matter what the case, no matter what your field is, there's a great deal of learning involved in broadening your mind, broadening your perspective. It's broadening your world. It's making your world a larger place, which is good. That's also very Uranian. So Jupiter's placement up here in the 9th house is pairing very well with Uranus. And by the end of the year, Jupiter and Uranus are going to be really working together. And so you're gearing up for that all year long. So really it's the year of Uranus and that highly inventive, fast changing, using technology to your advantage kind of energy, paired with a lot of willingness to learn and go global. Think of, working with other cultures and thinking globally is actually very beneficial for you right now, especially in your career. So those are the two biggest things to think about. The other big thing that's always happening in our chart is what's happening with the North Node. But I did a special North Node reading, which you can go check out on my channel. So I won't go into that, but that's really what you're looking at. I would say in terms of love, some of you, it's really a year, the flavor of the year, it has a couple of things going on here. I would say if it's your second long-term relationship, there's some good stuff happening here. So if you've been divorced once or had one long-term relationship and it's over or ending, that something is happening here that could be really beautiful, a beautiful thing. It's, you might be meeting somebody. I think some of you start the year with a crush, or it's very like a very sensual, sexual relationship. It depends on the person, but it's either kind of just in your mind, or for some of you it's secret. So it's a little behind the scenes as you begin the year, and that's kind of how the flavors, the way it unfolds. But there's a little bit here to suggest a second long-term relationship and maybe a crush. Or you definitely, I think there's a love interest here for many of you. If it's not a romantic loving interest, there's a special female who you want to get out. You want her to, I think it's especially relevant maybe to people with children. You want to help this child, female child, or it could be a male who's just very, has Venus featured in his chart, like a Libra or a Taurus, but you want to help this child or this person launch into the world. You may be sponsoring them for school or funding something, or maybe sending them away on a trip or to school. Some of you wanting them to expand their own world. For some of you, it's definitely a good money year. I would say this is a kind of a blessed money year. So financially, I think it's very good, really the whole year. And I think there's a special person that you want to help, who I do think you'll be able to help. So there's somebody you're trying to help. I think it's a child. And there may be concerns, like psychological concerns about this particular child. I believe you're going to put a lot of energy into this. There may be some money, investing, but I do think it will be favorable. I think there's a bit of a blessing here, and I would say hang in there. Just you've got this beautiful energy always in your sign that you can apply. You begin the year with Mars right here, and I think you're going to be very energized this year to get a lot done. You've got some missions. You've got several missions. Something to do with your business, something to do with learning and travel, and then something to do with possibly a child, somebody special. And then a few of you it plays out more romantically, and I think you begin the year with it being maybe a little not as public somehow. You're just, I don't know. It's developing kind of behind the scenes, whatever it is. So that is, I would say, the gist of your year. To add to that, I would just say this is one of the best times in your life to really put yourself out there and be public. It's maybe not with a romance right now. That will become more public, but or could become more public. It's likely to, but it's one of the best times to launch, because when you have your own business, or if you publish, or even in the legal field, you have to really put your neck on the line a lot in the legal field, especially if you're in court arguing cases. You come across really well this year. I mean, everything's just kind of smiling on you here, and it's a good time to really go for it, I would say. All right, guys, that's it. Happy New Year, and I hope you have a great 2019.